Coming up on News 11, the SUNY system has announced that almost 100% of its students' population are vaccinated. The U.S. is approved to have mix and match booster shots, and underdeveloped countries are asking for better climate change control. These stories and more, News 11 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to News 11. I'm Andy Velez-Davis.
And I'm Christian Cronin.
Chris, how are you feeling? This is your first time on desk.
I'm rather intrigued to get my start in the anchoring business.
Amazing. So we'll just jump right into it. The State University of New York system has announced that 99.5% of its student population are vaccinated since Thursday, October 14th. Students were told on September 27th to get vaccinated or risk being deregistered from classes. Only 192 students are left to get vaccinated, from most coming from smaller scale community colleges. SUNY said they have spent months on, quote, aggressive student-driven awareness campaigns, end quote. Prior to the campaigns, approximately 10,000 students faced deregistration. This number has dropped significantly. However, some students receive religious or medical exemptions from the vaccine. SUNY Chancellor Jim Malhotra has said, quote, there is an energy on our campus this semester because we have fully reopened, and the main reason we've been able to is because our students have stepped up and have gotten vaccinated, end quote. 75% of SUNY's employees across 64 locations have been vaccinated, while faculty cannot be mandated to get vaccinated due to the union in place. SUNY says they are working with union representatives to increase the number of employees that are vaccinated. Faculty and staff who are not yet vaccinated must participate in mandatory weekly COVID testing.
This weekend in Fredonia, parents and family members will be able to visit the Fredonia campus for Fred's annual Family Weekend. Starting on October 22nd, friends and family will have the opportunity to explore the campus and enjoy a variety of events. Any of these can range from checking out the John Buck exhibit in the Marion Art Gallery to sporting events, all the way to watching a performance of the Walter Glore mainstage production of The Wild Party. Make sure to save the date and book your tickets for the weekend full of fun with your family.
Do you love Halloween? Do you love music? Well, we've got some great news for you. SUNY Fredonia has the Rockefeller Art Center is presenting a special concert event featuring the Western New York Chamber Orchestra. The Halloween Spooktacular Pops concert takes place on Friday, October 29th at 7:30 p.m. in King Concert Hall. Selections you could expect are pop favorites like John Williams' Harry Potter Suite, the theme from Ghostbusters, and Michael Jackson's Thriller. The orchestra is led by conductor Glenn Cortez and is comprised of musicians from throughout Western New York and Northwestern Pennsylvania. The ensemble even includes a number of Fredonia School of Music faculty member. Tickets are available through the Fredonia ticket office in the Williams Center, by phone or online. Special $5 tickets are available for children 6 through 17 when accompanied by an adult. COVID protocols will be in place for the event. This includes masks being required inside all campus buildings at all times, regardless of vaccination status. And don't forget your costume. The orchestra members will also be performing in costume. Audience members are invited to come dressed for the season with prizes to be awarded. It's time to get spooky and jam out.
Last Friday, Chautauqua County was struck with heavy rains and then a tornado warning. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Mayville, or 12 miles southwest of Fredonia, moving northeast at 25 miles per hour with radar indicated rotation. People in the area were given an emergency alert on their phones at 5:50 p.m. and the alert was until 6:30 p.m. Heavy rain then slowed down at around 7 p.m. Though a funnel cloud was spotted, no touchdown of the cloud was confirmed and no damage has been reported.
Cassadiga Valley School District is feeling the hit from a recent school bus driver shortage. On October 17th, the school district released a statement on their Facebook saying they lost 3 bus drivers that don't plan on returning anytime soon. Student parents are asked to drive their children to and from school. If this is not possible, students are able to complete the school day on Google Classroom from home. The school district is now hiring bus drivers and urging those interested to contact that Cassadiga Valley Department of Transportation.
With the Buffalo mayoral race around the corner, Democratic primary India Walton is getting support from a popular figure. New York City Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will be making a trip across state to support the candidate during an upcoming early voting rally in downtown Buffalo this Saturday. The two will be located in the town ballroom in Buffalo's theater district from 11 a.m. to noon. And if the race for the mayor is close, there's a chance people may not know the result for a few weeks. Ralph Moore, the Republican commissioner for the Erie County Board of Elections, is predicting voter turnout to be between 60 and 70% in the Buffalo mayoral race. If that's the case, and if Brian Brown were to get about half of the votes in this write-in campaign, it would mean election workers will have to count about 50,000 votes one by one. Unless this is a real blowout of one kind or another, we want to be careful about really declaring victory because we won't know who those write-ins are until we count them, said Jeremy Zellner, the Democratic Commissioner for the Board of Elections.
New York State Governor Kathy Hochul is opting to stay out of the Buffalo mayoral race, rather than pledging her support to either mayoral candidate. Hochul has decided not to take either candidate's side. Hochul says, quote, "I'm going to be looking forward to truly working hard, rolling my sleeves up with whoever emerges as the victor. Buffalo's success is important to me personally, so that is my commitment. I will work with whoever the voters select," end quote. Hochul explains that this is a, quote, "unique situation," end quote, as two Democratic candidates are running for mayor. The election will be held on November 2nd of this year.
A Buffalo fire that claimed the lives of a young couple and a one-year-old child has still not been solved, even more than a year later. A September fire investigation on Utica Street in Buffalo from 2020 is still ongoing. Buffalo Fire Commissioner William Ronaldo says there is at least one person of interest in the case. Erie County District Attorney John Flynn has been working with the Fire Marshal's office on the case and says the building's landlord is not a suspect despite the house not having smoke detectors. The investigation is currently working on determining where the fire started, either on the house's porch or a car in the driveway. Commissioner Ronaldo says the investigation is taking longer than he would have hoped, but he wants to make sure it is done right. And when we come back, an FDA update on third booster shots and a look at your other national stories. We'll be right back.
Ready for you?
Pneumococcal. If you're 65 or older, like me, you're at greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia, even if you're healthy.
People 65 plus are over 10 times more likely to land in the hospital for pneumococcal pneumonia than those 18 to 49. And it's important we all do what we can to stay healthy. So, talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccination.
Hope, where are you hiding? I search for you in the seconds, the minutes of each and every day. Hear me as I call out to you. Take my hand. Lift me up as I lift up others. Welcome me home, Father, Mother, Sister, brother, son, daughter. Hear us now. Alone we stood, divided we fell. No longer. Now we choose to make the connection. Our new mission lies within. Visit maketheconnection.net to learn more.
16 is such a significant age. I promise to help protect my eldest daughter during this exciting time in her life. Teens are at an increased risk for meningococcal disease, a rare, potentially deadly bacterial infection. But half haven't received the CDC-recommended second dose of the MenACWY vaccine at 16. I want to help change that. Take your shot against meningitis. Talk to your teen's doctor about the MenACWY vaccine and ask about MenB. Visit the16vaccine.org.
After Pfizer has already its third booster shot approved, the FDA has now given the green light for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson booster. On Wednesday, the FDA made the approval, which many believe will be another big step in distributing the vaccine to tens of millions of people. United States regulators also approved of, quote, mixing and matching shots, which means that they can get a booster from a company that you did not get your original vaccine with. Acting FDA Commissioner Dr. Janet Woodcock said in a statement, quote, today's actions demonstrate our commitment to public health and proactively fighting against the COVID-19 pandemic, end quote. The FDA clearance, which was expected, came after the agency's Vaccine and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee unanimously recommended additional shots of both vaccines last week.
Last Friday, the White House stated that they will be lifting international travel restrictions for individuals who are fully vaccinated on November 8th. Foreign travelers will need to show proof of vaccination before boarding any flight heading to the U.S., as well as a documentation of a negative coronavirus test. Zero quarantine will be required upon entry. The Department of Homeland Security also has future plans for allowing those coming from Canada and Mexico with substantial documentation to enter the U.S. through land and ferry.
Former President Donald Trump has now filed a lawsuit against both the National Archives and the Congressional Committee in an attempt to block a handover of documents between the two. The suit states that the committee's subpoena should be invalid due to the committee having no power of investigation and says the material should be blocked by executive privilege. The House committee requested documents in March and August from the National Archives that it said were related to the Trump administration's actions before, during, and after January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol when a group of Trump supporters attacked the building in hopes of blocking his electoral defeat. Trump notified the National Archives that he formally asserted executive privilege. President Joe Biden, however, concluded that the privilege should not apply. The White House counsel Dana Remus said documents, quote, shed light on events within the White House on and about January 6th, bear on the select committee's need to understand the facts underlying the most serious attack on the operations of the federal government since the Civil War, end quote.
A Navy report has concluded there were various failures by commanders, crew members, and more fueled the July 2020 arson fire that destroyed the U.S. St. Bonhomme Richard, or USS St. According to Associated Press, more than 36 soldiers were responsible for the ship's failure. The findings detailed widespread lapses in training, coordination, communication, fire preparedness, equipment maintenance, and overall command and control. A 400-page report of the fire describes the ship in disarray with combustible materials scattered and stored improperly. It said maintenance reports were falsified and that 87% of the fire stations on board had equipment problems or had not been inspected. Crew members also didn't ring the alarm until 10 minutes after the fire, which was a crucial time period because it then caused delays in crews putting on fire gear, assembling hose teams, and responding to the fire. As a result of this, Navy leaders are expanding the staffing and responsibilities of the Naval Safety Center to perform audits and unannounced assessments of Navy units. The final costs are still being calculated.
Early on this week, the Biden administration hinted at the Supreme Court filing to temporarily block the ruling of the recent ban of abortion in the state of Texas. This brief, which was filed Monday, would challenge the new law. The goal is to forbid states from banning abortions. Women are disallowed from getting an abortion at their 22 to 24 week mark during their pregnancies. The court has led everyone to believe that they will be quick in making decision, according to the New York Times, quote, saying the matter was urgent and important. The brief also asked the court to consider adding the question of the law's constitutionality to the docket of cases it plans to hear this year by passing the appeals court, which is scheduled to hear arguments on it in December, end quote. The abortion ban has no exceptions for those who have been raped or became pregnant due to incest, and instead of officials being in charge of those who break the law, private citizens are allowed to take it upon themselves to sue organizations that are providing abortions. This also extends out to those who help women get to and from clinics or those who even help them financially with an abortion.
Consumer Goods Corporation P&G announced Tuesday that it's raising prices on certain grooming, beauty, and oral care products for retail customers to combat higher costs in the next 90 days. Other major consumer manufacturers and stores have increased prices in response to rising expenses for raw materials and transportation. P&G, which makes brands such as Gillette, Braun, and SK-II, did not specify which grooming, beauty, and oral care brands it is increasing prices for retailers. An email from P&G to a distributor obtained by CNN Business indicates Olay, Crest, and Oral-B products will be getting more expensive, at least for retailers. The exact amount of prices increase will vary by specific items. The mid-single digit range, end quote, said P&G Chief Financial Officer Andre Schulten on call with CNN Analysis Tuesday. Costs are rising at a swifter pace than P&G previously estimated. The company now expects to spend $2.3 billion more on freight and commodity costs for its 2022 fiscal year. The company in July predicted a $1.9 billion increase for such costs. When we come back, Sarah Gorton joins us for a weekly sports update, and we will have your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. We'll be back.
We've been down there. You gotta do the same. Post office. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. Selective service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service. We've been down there. Post office. You gotta do the same. Post office. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. Selective Service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service.
We're now joined by Sarah Gordon, who after Monday's Bills game probably isn't too excited to talk about the NFL. So we'll first ask her to talk about Fredonia sports. So what do you think you have for us this week, Sarah?
Well, local sports from this week brings us some exciting Fredonia soccer action. The women's team traveled to Oneonta this past Saturday, October 22nd at 1 p.m. and brought back a 1-0 win against the Red Dragons. Sophia Racuso had the assist, taking the free kick after a yellow card was given to Shannon Lowney from Oneonta. Katie Sellers was able to capitalize on this and scored the only goal of the game, bringing her season total to 5 goals and Fredonia the win they needed. Their last 2 games of the regular season before the SUNYAC tournament begins are coming up this Friday, October 22nd at 3 p.m. against Brockport, and Saturday, October 23rd against Geneseo at 1 p.m., both on home turf. After Oswego lost their match on October 16th, the Blue Devils women clinched a spot in the tournament, which begins Saturday, October 30th. Good luck to the team moving forward, and we hope to see them have a great rest of the season and travel all the way to the top in the postseason. And in national sports, while it still pains me to talk about it, the Buffalo Bills had an upsetting loss to the Tennessee Titans during Monday Night Football this past Monday. The game seemed like a ping-pong match, both teams taking the lead away from each other with 7 different lead changes throughout the game. The Bills' defense couldn't find an answer to Titans running back Derrick Henry, who ran for 143 yards and 3 touchdowns. Josh Allen went 35 for 47, throwing for 353 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception, connecting with Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, and Tommy Sweeney for the touchdowns. Buffalo's on a bye this week and will rest up for the next home match against the Miami Dolphins, 1 p.m. at Highmark Stadium on Halloween. In national hockey, Buffalo sports fans still have something to be happy about this week because the Buffalo Sabres are now 3-0 after winning Tuesday night against the Vancouver Canucks. Scoring for the Sabres were Kyle Okposo, Zemgus Girgensons, Jeff Skinner, Tage Thompson, and Rasmus Asplund. The Sabres now sit 3-0 and are atop the Atlantic Division. Their next game is tomorrow night against the Boston Bruins at 7 p.m.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I know most Sabre fans are probably pretty excited, but most know to keep their hopes up within reason after previous seasons. We're now joined by Mike Debitetto for our first weather update of the night. Michael, how's it looking out there?
Well, last night was pretty calm with some cloudy skies and a couple of light showers to the early morning. Moving into today, we've been seeing some rain all throughout the day that is expected to continue to the rest of the night and into the early hours of tomorrow morning. The temperature today was also pretty mild, with temperatures staying within the 50s and 60s and are expected to stay that way until throughout the rest of the night. As we look ahead to tomorrow, most of those showers should be wrapping up by tomorrow morning, although we could see some scattered rainfall throughout the day. We also could expect to see some cloudy skies until the sun briefly creeps out in the afternoon. That is, there's a good chance we could also see some fall weather tomorrow with a high of only 51 and temperatures as low as 43, coming with some of that rain. Will be moderate winds around 15 miles an hour at their peak in the afternoon. And we can expect that this weather will continue through the weekend into the beginning of next week, but more on that later during your 5-day forecast.
Thank you, Mike. Now when we come back, we have your international headlines and some look at some odd news. We'll be right back.
Different kinds of pipes freeze for different reasons. To protect yours, wrap insulation around exposed pipes. If a hard freeze is forecast, open the doors under sinks and let the hot and cold faucets trickle overnight. Leave the heat on if you're leaving town. Following these steps can get you through cold weather on a high note.
During World War II, recycling was a way of life on the home front. Rubber, tin cans, cooking grease, paper, scrap iron, those and many more items were recycled for the war effort. It was a time of crisis. The nation desperately needed new sources of raw materials. Millions of Americans were united in a common cause. Today we face a crisis no less real, but of another sort. A solid waste crisis that can no longer be ignored. We are simply running out of places to put our garbage. With your help, we can meet this new challenge as well. Source separation and recycling will save valuable space in our landfills and help protect our drinking water and the air we breathe. Together, we Americans can win the war against waste. Start recycling today.
A group containing several nations vulnerable to the effects of climate change have laid out their demands for the upcoming United Nations Summit meeting in Glasgow, Scotland. These demands include getting richer countries to fully commit to and pledge their financial assistance to help other countries battle climate change, more frequent updates regarding national plans for cutting greenhouse emissions, and developing a system to compensate poor countries for climate change-related damages. Currently, richer nations such as China only report emissions every 5 years and are pushing to report less. The summit, which features multiple world countries to reassess the Paris Climate Accord, will begin on October 31st. There is an urgent need to ensure the global temperatures don't rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit. If temperatures do rise, it will lead to more heat waves, extreme weather, water shortages, drought, greater economic loss, lower crop yields, higher sea levels, and the destruction of coral reefs. Richer nations originally pledged $100 billion to assist poorer countries. However, this amount has been lowered to $80 billion. Compensating poorer countries for climate change-related damages is the most controversial goal, yet the support is greatly needed for countries in desperate need for financial assistance.
North Korea has successfully tested its latest ballistic missile that was reportedly fired from a submarine. The report said lots of advanced control guidance technologies have been included in the missile, which would, quote, greatly contribute to putting the defense technology of the country on a high level and to enhancing the underwater operational capability of our Navy, end quote. The UN Security Council has said that in light of the launch, they have held a meeting yesterday to discuss North Korea.
The latest reported launches from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, including the report that a ballistic missile was launched from the sea. At this point, we'd like to just reiterate what the Secretary General has repeatedly been saying. We have repeatedly called on the DPRK leadership to comply fully with its international obligations under relevant Security Council resolutions. And we've also called for the DPRK leadership to swiftly resume diplomatic efforts towards sustainable peace and the complete and verifiable denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
Pyeongchang is banned from testing ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons, according to international law.
Earlier this year, Cubans marched into one of the largest protests held in Cuba since the 1950s. On July 11, thousands of Cubans took part in an anti-government rally. However, over 1,000 of those people were arrested, 500 still on house arrest, and at least 130 of those arrests turned into cases of sexual abuse, solitary confinement, or beatings. All of this was due to the government's overly forceful response to the peaceful protests. Yet, Cuba has denied any claims that there was any systematic abuse or torture that came as a result. Human Rights Watch said, quote, nonetheless, we have gathered evidence of rights abused by Cuban police and military from phone interviews with activists, victims, their relatives, journalists, and lawyers, as well as case files, press reports, and photos and video, end quote. Well, Chris, we only have time for one more odd news. So, have you heard about Kanye changing his name?
Yes, and I cannot say I've listened to any of this man's music, but that's quite an interesting prospect to change your name to Ye.
So, I have a question for you. If you were to change your name, what would you change it to?
Probably Chan. Considering my name is Chris Chan, most people call me Chris, and I think I need to let Chan shine a little more. So I'd probably go Chan or Chandler, something like that. That'd be pretty cool. Pretty sick.
I like that. I really do like that.
Yeah. Anyhow. It seems that news is ending.
I know that if I were to change my name, I honestly don't know what I would change it to. Probably Andy, because my name is Andrea, but Andy's definitely
interesting.
Andy's definitely the name I'd probably change it to if I had to.
Yes, most people call you.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. As always, thank you to our crew and everyone watching at home. We'll be back next week. Have a great night.